Coming up in this week's episode of Cosster News, Pleasurewood Hills has officially been sold by the Looping Group, and the annual Fright Nights returns for this season at Fort Park. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Cosster News, and as always got some amazing news from different theme parks, rides, attractions and events all over the world. So let's get straight into the news today. And our top story for tonight, Pleasurewood Hills has officially been sold by the Looping Group. Now this was actually pretty unexpected. In fact, they literally made no sort of announcement about this, it just sort of happened quietly. The only reason we know about it is because it was like sort of seen on like social media, specifically LinkedIn, by the Looping Group. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, basically Pleasurewood Hills is an amusement park located in Suffolk, England. The park first opened in 1983 and is currently home to over 30 rides and attractions. The Looping Group, who also operate Drayton Manor and West Midlands Safari Park, bought Pleasurewood Hills in 2011 as part of a larger acquisition of several other parks and attractions in Europe. The most recent development from Pleasurewood Hills occurred earlier this year, when the original Vekoma trains on Wipeout were replaced by brand new trains with lap bars. This week, it has been found via LinkedIn that the Looping Group have sold Pleasurewood Hills to a company called Premier Attractions Limited, who will operate the park from now on. The Looping Group will continue to operate Drayton Manor, Waterworld and West Midlands Safari Park. So yeah, this just sort of happened just completely randomly, like we didn't really see this coming. Now, Looping Group have operated Pleasurewood Hills since 2011, so for about 14 years. And it's obviously been part of like the other different attractions that Looping Group operates in the UK, like Drayton Manor and West Midlands Safari Park. But now, obviously they've sold it to Premier Attractions Limited. Now, this is a company that I've never heard of. I don't know. I need to sort of look into what other attractions that they're in the UK that they do operate, and whether or not, hopefully, Pleasurewood Hills will still continue to operate as a pretty good amusement park in this country. How different the park will be now that it's no longer owned by Looping Group, I don't know, but we'll have to wait and see how things turn out. In other news today, Fright Nights 2025 has officially begun at Fort Park, and yet it's finally, how is it already October? Like, January just feels like it was only like last week. Now it's already October and we've got the Halloween event starting all across the country, with most recently Fright Nights starting today, at the time of recording today. But if you want to know what the event entails of this year, then basically Fright Nights has officially returned to Fort Park for this season, with a number of attractions returning from previous years, alongside new additions to the event. All 4 scare mazes from Fright Nights 2024 have returned, with no brand new scare maze being introduced at this year's event. However, a brand new scare zone, known as Purgatory Town, has made its debut located within the Big Easy Boulevard area of the park. Also in Big Easy Boulevard, the It 4D experience has returned to Sunset Cinema for its 2nd year. Elsewhere, Creature Campus has returned yet again with a brand new title and storyline, now known as Creature Campus: Shock to the System. The Crows of Morecambe Meadow has also returned for its 5th year at Fort Park, and Lucifer's Lair returns for its 3rd year. Fright Nights will run from today, the 3rd of October, until the 2nd of November 2025. So yes, from what I've heard so far, the event has been absolutely brilliant this year. I'm actually kind of interested to see what this new scare zone, Purgatory Town, looks like, because I've tried to sort of like avoid spoilers of the event itself, but from what I've heard, it doesn't have much in terms of like actual like brand new theming in the land. It's not like the Crows of Morecambe Meadow where it's like a linear path. It's not like a one-way scare zone, it's a free-flowing scare zone where you can sort of enter and exit in any path in the area. So that's quite interesting to see that they've done that. Personally, I prefer like the one-way scare zones that take you literally on like sort of linear, sort of more condensed path, because that way it feels less like a scared zone and more like sort of like a mini scare maze in a way that you don't have to pay for. But usually the one-way ones are much more immersive and sort of better themed and have more of a story going on, if that makes sense. But I'm sure this brand new Purgatory Town will be good, and I cannot wait to get to Fort Park to experience this brand new scare zone along with the rest of Fright Nights later this month. Also in the news today, Six Flags Over Texas have announced a brand new record-breaking dive coaster for next year. And you know, it's been rumoured for several months now, and they've finally made the announcement of the brand new long-awaited dive coaster coming to Six Flags Over Texas next year. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, basically Six Flags Over Texas is set to open a brand new record-breaking B&M dive coaster in 2026. Tormentor Rampaging Run will be the world's first Giga dive coaster, reaching a maximum height of 309 feet and a top speed of 87 miles per hour. Tormentor will also feature 5 inversions, including the world's tallest Immelman at 218 foot tall and the world's tallest vertical loop at 178 feet. The ride will also travel 4,199 feet of track. Overall, Tormentor will claim 6 world records. These are the tallest, fastest and longest dive coaster, the tallest drop on a dive coaster at 285 feet, the world's tallest Immelman and the world's tallest vertical loop. So yeah, that's very exciting news right there coming out of Six Flags Over Texas. And you know, I'm actually really interested to see what a Giga dive coaster is going to look like, because you know, in comparison, the current tallest dive coaster, which is Yukon Striker at Canada's Wonderland, that is, I believe it's 200 is around 200 foot tall, but the drop is like 240 feet because part of it goes underground. So like even the drop on this thing is going to be taller than the drop on Yukon Strike, which is insane. And also a max speed of 87 miles per hour. So if it had a full 300 odd foot drop instead of 285, it could have potentially gotten to like a 90 miles per hour speed. But obviously because the drop is just shy of 300 feet, it's obviously only about 87 miles per hour. But that's still incredibly fast, and it's going to be an absolute adrenaline rush feeling that speed whilst dropping 95 degrees downwards. As well as that, you've also got the world's tallest Immelman, which is actually insane. We're going to be experiencing a 200 foot tall inversion, which I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that officially makes that Immelman the world's tallest inversion. I could be wrong. Do correct me if I am wrong, but as far as I'm aware, that is going to be the world's tallest inversion. And also the world's tallest vertical loop at 178 feet. Now for comparison, the current tallest vertical loop is actually tied with 2 coasters. There's Flash at Lure Adventure in China and Hypercoaster at Land of Legends in Turkey. Now both of these rides are Mack Rides Hypercoasters, but they're both identical clones of each other. And they both have a vertical loop that I believe is about 171 foot tall. The fact that, you know, this ride, but also another thing to note, this brand new roller coaster will, out of the 5 inversions, 3 of them will be Immelmans. That is kind of crazy. The fact that 3 inversions on this 5 inversion coaster will be Immelmans. Obviously the first one being the world's tallest Immelman at 218 feet, and the rest of them will be sort of regular sized Immelmans. That's kind of excessive. Maybe it could have done with maybe just 1 or 2 Immelmans. We've got 3. The other 2 inversions are obviously going to be the world's tallest vertical loop and a cutback element. Now, track and supports have actually arrived on site for this ride, so it's only a matter of time before this gigantic dive coaster goes vertical, and I cannot wait to see what it looks like when it officially opens next year. And finally in the news today, Alton Towers Scarefest has officially begun for this season. Now this year's Scarefest actually looks to be probably the best one that we've had in years, and I'm not joking. like this year seems to be quite a big improvement compared to like the last couple of seasons we've had, and I'll explain why. But if you don't know what I'm actually talking about, basically Scarefest officially kicked off at Alton Towers last Saturday. This event includes 3 scare mazes in total, including 1 new scare maze for this year, alongside 2 scare zones, 2 family scare attractions, and other entertainment offerings throughout the park. The returning scare mazes are Compound, which is back for its 2nd year, which was the new scare maze for last year, and Altonville Mine Tours at Tiny's Revenge, which has officially entered its 10th year. The Scare Zone Burial Grounds has also returned for its 3rd year, and is now one of 2 scare zones to operate at Scarefest. Trick or Treat Town and Amigos in the Afterlife have also returned this year, with Amigos in the Afterlife returning for its 2nd year, because that was also introduced in 2024. In terms of new additions, 2 new scare attractions have been introduced for Scarefest 2025 and are both located in the exact same area. A new scare zone called Dark Hollow has made its debut, alongside Edge of the Forest, the brand new scare maze for 2025. Both new additions are located adjacent to each other, along the path in front of the tower's ruins heading towards Dark Forest. Alton Towers Scarefest will run from the 27th of September up until the 2nd of November this year. So there you have it, that's the lineup for this year's Scarefest, and obviously they've got other different entertainment offerings throughout the park, albeit I do think some of this like usual like entertainment offerings they have, like the shows and whatnot, has been scaled back a little bit. We've still got the Alton Ancestors as Roman actors, but they only have like one sort of show on the stage, because the stage isn't on the lawns anymore. They've built a brand new stage in the Mutiny Bay courtyard, where they have a few shows there, but not as many as what they had when the stage and the lawns existed. So that's kind of a shame, but everything else appears to be an improvement. We've got another new scare zone, and from what I've seen, loads of new like theming pieces popped up around the park. Now when I went for the construction update last Tuesday, which was days before the event started, I had noticed a couple of new bits of Scarefest theming appearing around like the sort of the tower's courtyard area, like that fountain, like a film with that fountain appearing. But now it seems that a load more pieces of theming have appeared throughout the park, including like in like Katanga Canyon, X Sector, obviously Tower Street with obviously the usual Scarefest theming that has. So overall, this year's event does actually look like it's taken a step up from previous seasons, and I cannot wait to get back to Alton Towers for Scarefest in just a couple of weeks' time. So yeah, that is it for this week's episode of Cosster News. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you did, then please make sure to like and subscribe, and comment what you would like to see in the next video. Goodbye.